Wait. Until about 30 minutes ago, I was reviewing something else. And then I remembered this, and that I only have this one last issue to finish it off. And it does tie in somewhat with yesterday's unboxing. Come tomorrow, when I review the issue I planned to do today, I will have forgotten all the points I wanted to make, and it's all because of this bad Brothers in Arms miniseries. This is issue 3 of this poorly drawn story uniting War Machine, Hawkeye, and U.S.Agent. You can see over the course of my videos on this, my excitement faded. This story is footnoted a lot in the cross-dressing, which is a weird reason for anyone to have high hopes for Summit. This trio of characters apparently formed a bond and a closer friendship over the course of this series. At least that is what the cross-dressing says. Having read all 3 issues of Brothers in Arms, I cannot see that anyway. This is just a normal day with these 3 characters. So the story, which I basically ate as well, is that there is a war in one of those fictional third world countries, and our 3 heroes are all on different sides of the fight. But by about the second page, they all realise that they should be on the same side, and so they start fighting against super agents that the corrupt government are using. I am fine with this being utter dreck. I only wish that the characters and their supposed connection strengthening was evident in this story. I am really into that these characters are allowed to grow and develop new relationships or a deeper friendship with each other. Hawkeye and U.S.Agent being a great example of that. They started out hating each other, and over time they slowly became friends. And in this they are meant to become really good friends. But Hawkeye and U.S.Agent's friendship, it abruptly ended, and it was Kurt Busey who did so. He had them back as bickering rivals without explanation, because he is shit, and his comics are edited by Tom Beevort. I know I have discussed this in previous parts, but there has been a new development that irritated me. Since Kurt Busey regressed them, and also minimised and mocked his standing with the Avengers, any depth to U.S.Agent has mostly been absent. There's shit writers like John Jeffries and Bucky Larson who have him be so out of character to insist that he should be Captain America again. Benson never wrote him, at least. Dan Slott didn't do much with him in Avengers, and actually only wanted to kill him off in the end. But Jeff Parkman came in, and I will do that one day. That is a video I've needed to make for 5 years, and the one I absolutely cannot slack off on. Now, U.S.Agent is basically a bad guy again. He once had some right-wing views, so he needs to be a bad guy. Marvel did a new Thunderball series, but it is Thunderballs in name only, like every Thunderball series since 2012. In it, ganning straight off the model established by Kurt Busey, Hawkeye and U.S.Agent hate each other. Hawkeye says he has always wanted to smack U.S.Agent around, and the book has the gall to cite an issue of West Coast Avengers as if it is building on continuity. Hawkeye and U.S.Agent became friends. U.S.Agent helped Hawkeye deal with the trauma of his wife's death. U.S.Agent was the one who was trying to get him back into the Avengers family. U.S.Agent stood by him when he was framed for murder. This is bullshit writing disguised as continuity, and exactly what you would expect from a writer who has openly claimed Kurt Busey is one of his favourite writers and biggest influences. I don't really want communication with comic book professionals, but the writer of that generally replies to most people on Twitter, so I passive-aggressively, but not rudely, tweeted them about how Hawkeye would be well over any resentment from that beating because they became friends. Very hard to concisely put everything into the word limits, so it does seem a lot less polite than I would like. But my intention was that the guy would see this and correct it, or see this and at least acknowledge his fault or something. Didn't get a response. He replies to everything else, just not anything a bit critical. I didn't think I am entitled to a response, but that he deliberately ignored it both annoys me and I think reflects on the industry as a whole. All I can say is that if our roles were reversed, I would reply and acknowledge I was unaware or whatever. I would more than likely feel the need to compensate and thus undo my mistake publicly in an issue. But that's just me, and I didn't write comics. With writers now, you only matter if you buy their product and shill for them. Or you don't count. You're not worth their time if you try to be constructive or let them know something. You have got to be a fanboy. That's all they want. To get back to this Brothers in Arms rubbish, the one artistic thing from this series that I will praise is this bad guy here. This is actually a pretty alright design for a bad guy for any of these characters. In things like this, there is a certain standard of forgettable, blandly designed, boring bad guys. And this bad guy stands out as being above the average when it comes to design. He looks a lot like... There was a character in Ultimates, if you remember him. He had a Darth Maul lightsaber, and he fought Captain America. I have said some nice things about his design, so let me balance it out by pointing out two things. First, his name is Hazard, spelt with an E. And the other thing is that he is the flattest, least motivated bad guy ever. He has no stake in this fight. He is a henchman that is positioned like the main antagonist for most the story. And for most of the story, he hasn't done anything until now. He fights U.S.Agent. And this is very bad. This story. It reads like a seriously bloated Marvel Comics Presents story. And the art is so bad. I mean, it's not been great for all of it. But in this one, there are pages like this where it feels even more rushed and sloppy. This page is a mess. And it is not the only page of that style in here. These are meant to be like the equivalent of montages. And bloody hell, they feel like the laziest excuse to twist a page of script into the least amount of art. In the end, though, they are all friends. And I can like that. I wish we got to see more of that develop. Like all the footnotes in the cross-dressing suggest. I mentioned Marvel Comics Presents, and the funny thing is that there was actually a Marvel Comics Presents story. The story which started the Hawkeye and U.S.Agent friendship. That was in Marvel Comics Presents. It had abysmal art, but within 8 pages of a bad anthology series, they found time to show and develop how the two characters felt about each other. This is by the same writer as well, so it's not the case that Dan Andy cannot do it. This is just a very underwhelming, disappointing story. And I say that as one of the only people in the world who ever had any anticipation or even hope for this. The main thing to take away from Brothers in Arms was they did what was billed as a War Machine story with an artist who couldn't draw War Machine well. So there we finish Brothers in Arms. And I have brought up the idea before that some comics are better off left in your head. You can imagine something better than what it actually is. This is one of them. I was more content thinking there was this story out there where these 3 characters became BFFs. And I hadn't read it, but it could have had great characterisation in it. To that version of Brothers in Arms, the one that exists in my head, I give that 7 thumbs up. In the time it took to edit this video, he blocked me. He blocked me for tweeting gibberish at him. I doubt he remembers the tweet from however many months ago. He blocked someone for a bizarrely worded apology. He didn't understand it, so he blocked me. How pathetic can you be?